TrueHouse, episode 468. It is. Hold on. Just going to get this one going as well. Okay, we're live. All right. My name is Justin House, and this is TrueHouse live stream, episode 468. I trust you're all okay. Tuesday, the 15th of February. Protection. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Many types of protection. Take your minds out of the gutter. I'm not referring to that sort of protection. I'm talking about mental protection and fortification. It occurred to me recently, but specifically in this era, this time we're in. Could we call it an epoch? There's a word. Anyway, we are, all of us, to varying degrees, just, unless you live like a hermit, which I can understand why a person would want to detach. I know I have. All of us are inundated. Saturation. It's a split reality. I know the binary system is something these days that it's apparently trendy to question anything too binary or too simple. We are in a nebulous time where things are either intentionally or unwittingly, but I would say intentionally nebulous, vague, whether we're talking about opinions or gender or politics or whatever. All these topics, it could be COVID, it could be anything, couldn't it? I mean, pick a thread, pull at that thread. I dare you. We are, all of us, overexposed. And I had a thought the other day. When you go to a pharmacist or wherever in the particularly warmer times of the year in this country, in the UK, on the rare occasion we have sun and the desire to protect oneself with SPF, sun protection factor, whatever, and you get your sunscreen cream lotion. And it just occurred to me, just like literally a random thought. I thought, well, there's that type of protection. When you hear about the word protection, when we mention the word, protect yourself, duck and cover, it's. I think there's a strong argument now for opting to literally remove yourself. Sure, you could listen to this and take a view and say, well, that's on you, Justin. That's up to you how much you choose to expose yourself to the news, the media, the deeply divisive discourse. It's I don't know, man. There's so much going on. It'd be very easy to sort of say this is completely engineered, this is intentional, fabricated even. You could say, well, this is part of a larger plan, and then you get into this you could almost fall into the trap of using words like they and their. I suggest you don't, because it's a very easy default, or good evening, it's a very easy default position just to sort of armchair quarterback this and say, well, wherever you stand politically, or with your societal views on COVID. I mean, it's even the branding has changed, hasn't it? I think it began with Corona. It was the language used, wasn't it? Corona, and it got rebranded as COVID, and you've only got to pick up your device, whatever you rely on, smartphone or tablet, laptop, TV, whatever you use, whatever is your doorway into this sort of Decepticon. But you could go with climate, you could go with, it doesn't matter, pick your poison. It's like, well, have a conversation about what? Have an opinion about what? Where do you stand? And the whole thing is so freaking tribal. And even saying that, I just feel, I don't know, it feels contrived even saying that. I feel like a charlatan even saying that. False, fake. There's such an abundance of there's such a lack of authenticity. That's the thing. There's everything appears to be disingenuous, and so many people appear to be disingenuous. And again, you could easily argue, well, sod this. I'm just going to amuse myself by watching movies and opting out of reality, because we've reached a strange fulcrum point now where, depending on who you're talking to, could be friend, partner, family, colleague, you're going to have radically different opinions, and therein lies the conversational chaos. It's like, well, we had Brexit here in the UK, and Brexit dominated the news. There's such distraction and diversion. It's like the whole thing is a detour, isn't it? When you're driving in traffic and you see the road signs saying diversion, that's what this is. Because our consciousness, our news being so cyclical, it was chock full of Brexit, back in whenever it was, 2016, 2017, I've forgotten. And then we had our Prime Minister, and then of course my American friends had Trump, and it's so much puppeteering and marionette behaviour. It is a simulacrum. It is. You could argue 80% of this is probably bollocks. The only obvious caveats would be, well, there are some things that are tangibly true, aren't there? There are some things that are almost palpable, insofar as you jump on your phone and you have a scroll and you look at your feed, you look at what's on the news cycle for the day. And because we've got a global, it's like global amnesia. You could be talking about climate or what's happened with leadership and war, and spending and or education, or there's so many topics to consider, and depending on where a person lies or their loyalties, people are now living in two different realities, and I am one of millions saying this. It's the most unoriginal stream I've done for a while because there's nothing I'm saying that's remotely original. But I now purposely put myself into self-induced rations and little droughts. Do you know what I mean by that? So like I will intentionally not not pick up one of these. Do you know what I mean? I just won't do it for. I'm going to try and leave this for 12 hours. I'm going to try and leave this for 24 hours. And I'm a smartphone fan. You know, I'm a smartphone junkie. But I've now started to curate my use and protect myself, and that is my little segue tonight of circling back to the title protection. And if I could use the analogy that when you buy sun protection factor to protect your skin, you know, whatever you buy, us transplant patients, we have to have a very high skin protection factor, being on immunosuppressants. But the analogy or the metaphor, whatever you want to say, is you need to protect yourself with our exposure to what we see online. Let me expand on this a little bit. I was recently watching Designated Survivor, Kiefer Sutherland. Now, you know, I turned 50 in January, so I'm a Gen Xer. And in the 80s, I remember Kiefer Sutherland, obviously, you know, Stand By Me and Lost Boys. No, he wasn't in Stand By Me. What am I talking about? Or was he? Was he one of the bad kids? No, he wasn't. Anyway, but Kiefer Sutherland in the Lost Boys, Flatliners, you know, big in the 80s, and of course, 20 years ago, Jack Bauer, you know, 24, good fun series. I remember that. And in recent times, playing the role of the US president. Yeah, bear with me, this is going somewhere. And the old adage about how life imitates art, art imitates life, and I often look at this as script flippers insofar as you could just look at the news, you know, wherever you go in the UK here, you know, BBC or whatever, Channel 4, America, Fox or CNN, God forbid, CNN. And you need to protect yourself. You need to just watch the you know exposure you have, because it's cancer. It's cancerous. It's very damaging. Rabbit holes. I mean, I walk into them all the time. So to use this little hinge in tonight's thoughts, that's all I'm giving is just my thoughts, nothing more. Obviously, extremely unscripted, if you can't tell. And obviously, my memories harked back to when I saw Kiefer Sutherland. I thought, oh yeah, I quite like you as an actor. You know, like I say, my memories of him in the 80s, 90s. I think Kiefer Sutherland in real life is probably, oh, I don't know, probably a few years older than me. Not a lot though. And all the subject matters, all the plot points, all the, you know, you can imagine the script writers in Designated Survivor talk about on the nose. I mean, I've been watching it on Netflix, and I believe I'm actually starting season 3 now, so I've been binging it by my own admission, and I believe my excuse the little vibration in my phone bleeping. The point I'm making is it was bizarre to watch things of 2017, 2018, 2019. You can always tell when you're watching things on, you know, on screen, by the phones they use, you know. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's 2017. They've just started to use iPhone 10. Of course, that's when it came out. So being the geek I am, I started to recognize the phones they were using. And then I checked it online on Google. And I just thought, oh, this series was filmed, you know, 16, 17, 18. I think it was cancelled on the third season. And some people say it was really like The West Wing, or like, you know, there's sort of political drama, but elements of hijinks. There's an element of 24 in it, you know, where an FBI or a CIA agent, this is where it gets close, really close to the mark. There's an outbreak. There's an outbreak of a SARS-CoV-2 type strain, you know, like a bird, like an avian bird flu or whatever. And then you realise that everything you're watching on Designated Survivor is pre-Cove. And here's the crux of it, right? This is where it gets cool. I sat there by the end of season 2 and thought, holy shit, either this is just blind coincidence, or it's so prophetic. I mean, really Nostradamus level of prophecy. Or is there a large element of scripting the news? And what I mean is, this is where life does imitate art. I mean, it really does. Because March 2020 was COVID, yet 3 years before that, we're seeing literally beat by beat by beat, just a complete dice roll replica of the plot points of what's happened the last 24 months in real life. Played out on screen on Designated Survivor with Kiefer Sutherland. And it's enjoyable. It's good viewing. But there was a Princess Diana plot in there. There was a COVID plot in there. There was a shooting. There was so many bloody elements of this, that even the trans thing, the gender thing. Now, okay, in fairness, you know, I personally got wind of the gender thing about 2015. But you could argue the showrunners, the show writers were either writing for the future or spilling out on, you know, look, I'm writing my own book now in exclusion. And, yeah, like I said, I'm not going to make any of these streams too long. That's 18 minutes nearly. I'd go for 25, 30 minutes. I don't want to be too, you know, any more boring than I currently am. But I've been rudderless recently. By my own admission, these streams have been suffering because I know that I've reached a saturation point, you know, where I'm looking at things on Netflix and then the news and going, spot the difference. This is my overarching point tonight, is that it's at the point now where our reality, our perceived reality is questionable to such a degree, to such an extent, that I don't know about you lot, but if I'm watching Netflix or anything and then literally, you know, thinking, okay, I'm watching a work of fiction, you know, I'm watching, you know, drama, and then I watch the news and I'm like, okay, life imitating art, art imitating life. So truth is stranger than fiction, and we're seeing a lot of, again, in the real world, you know, a lot of live action role play, a lot of LARPing. We know we see a lot of chest beating, a lot of virtue, purity testing, virtue signaling, point scoring for your, you know, your allotted tribe or team. You know, COVID quickly descended into a team sport, didn't it? You know, that's pretty sick. And then, of course, on the notion of a two-tier system. Again, it's very class-led, you know, the unvaccinated, etc. So look, so much is requiring protection, man. I'm just at the point now where I am having to just cut back on what I absorb for what I expose myself to, and that's why I mentioned just the analogy about sun protection factor. Just get a high scoring SPF cream, and the same could be said for maintaining a modicum of mental mental acuity, mental alertness, because holy shit, it's so easy. I mean, again, I'm just literally spitballing the idea. I'm just kicking it around out loud. It's so easy to fall into this awful, awful tribal. You know, it's it's just people getting extremely bent out of shape. Triggered. People getting very, very upset if they see something online. In a social media um, platform, whatever it is, whatever you're into, pick your poison. There's about a dozen, isn't there, of various social media platforms to jump on. Like I say, I'm not going to go and talk for much longer, only another minute or two, and I'm going to bugger off. I've been watching more Russell Brand recently, just a bit of a subject change, but on the same theme, really. Restored my faith in seeing someone that prolific start to tell the truth. It's an easy uh, it's an easy topic to say, oh, you red pill, you blue pill, whatever, white pill, black pill. Um, if we can transcend that for a minute and just say, well, are you observing things sort of baked in the political oven, you know, to use their term, optics, or are you seeing things in a more of a stripped down raw state? Are you seeing things that are coated in dogma, in demagoguery, in ideology, or are you seeing things as they are? And it's not about being on the right or the left, or it shouldn't be. I hope not. It isn't for me. I've stopped my own personal purview. I've stopped looking at all this shit as being, oh, this is a conservative. This is a Republican thing. This is a Democrat / Labour thing. Obviously, the UK US thing. Through the sort of prism of just it's a left or right thing. I've just started to look at things a bit more pragmatically and to remove my emotions and go, well, hang on, I'll fact check that data, especially with the COVID stuff. Now we've got all the Pfizer data coming out, which will be interesting. I'm sorry. Not sorry, but it'll be very interesting over the next sort of 3 or 4 months to see. Apparently, it's I'm forgetting the name now, but it's when the law, Freedom of Information Act. So we'll see how much the likes of Pfizer. I suppose if they're forced to, they're forced to. But I think it would only be a good thing for the people to be armed with more information, because that's the era we're in, is the manipulation of information. Misinformation being a mistake and disinformation being intentional. You've only got to watch that little ginger biscuit, Jen Psaki, to realise this entire thing is just a complete show. It is. It's I've got American friends that perhaps did or didn't like Trump. I'm like, wow, you got some buyer's remorse now. And again, it's not me being partisan political. It's just the reality of that was no plot point. That's it. One of the plot points in Designated Survivor was the former president was very Biden-like, and the storyline, the plot line, check this out, was his cognitive decline, and that the American public know it. Again, this is all pre-Biden's, current role, current position, this, designated, can't even say it, designated survivor was probably filmed in 2016, 17. I think it wrapped in 18 or 19. And the former president, before Kiefer Sutherland's, because he was the whole premise of the damn thing, he was allocated the position because he was the only survivor, hence the term designated survivor. But the former president is very Biden-like. Excuse me. And one of the things that comes into sort of question is Alzheimer's and his sort of cognitive ability. So again, it's my point about are you guys, I know I am, at the point now of wanting or needing to protect yourself from again, it's not living in denial, it's not being an ostrich, it's just being selective about the shit you choose to assimilate. That's all I'm saying. Yeah? So, sun protection factor, social media protection, I don't know what you want to call it, whatever. I'm going to shut up now. That's 27 minutes nearly. Like I say, I'm going through a very weird stage with these live streams. I mean, this is 468. I'll just write down the number on a piece of paper. I got to figure something out. I feel I might start reading excerpts from the book. I don't know. But thank you. Someone there has joined, and so I appreciate you dropping in just for a bit, just to see me struggle with this current. I'm just, this is called TrueHouse for a reason, because I don't lie. I live the truth. I don't talk about it as being my truth, just the flat truth. And I don't lie about anything that's come from me. You know what I mean? Any words, thoughts, feelings that are mine. I don't sit here and just sugarcoat it and lie. It's from me. It's me. I'd rather offend you with my honesty than dishonesty, to be frank. Okay, that'll probably do. Apologies for the very poor eye contact. Not sure how I feel about that on streaming, making this like kind of crazy eye contact and doing this. I don't know. But yeah, that'll do. That's oh yeah, I just sorry about my appearance. I actually walked into a low branch, which is kind of lucky because it could have gone higher. Anyway, so silly me. All right, guys, big love, and I'll be back tomorrow night with episode 469. All right, this has been Justin House on As TrueHouse, episode 468. I will return tomorrow night as I slur my words. I'm getting tired now. Same time, same place, same face. Cheers.